Good evening, everyone. This is Zelda and Allan, and we are here to present some exciting news. We now have another option when we're voting in North Dakota, and that is through accessible absentee voting. And that means that you can request an absentee ballot. And we've always been able to request an absentee ballot, but this way we can request the opportunity to digitally vote by absentee. And Alan, do you want to explain how we got here?
Yes, well, we advocated for this during the 2021 legislative session. We got support from legislators to add a provision in a voting bill that allowed us who have a disability to vote an absentee ballot, a secret independent ballot by absentee, using an absentee ballot. And that provision was included in a larger bill. So when that larger bill was passed, then that became law in North Dakota. We had been advocating since then for the implementation of this provision, and it took a while because there was a change in the leadership within the Secretary of State's office. The past Secretary of State retired, so to speak. He didn't run again, so there was a new Secretary of State that became he was elected into that position, and he kind of started from ground zero, and it took a while for them to select the mechanics or the software that was going to be used to implement this provision for us who are blind or have another disability to vote a secret independent absentee ballot. Because this is good for us because many of us deal with transportation issues and other issues that make it difficult for us to get to the polls. So
Right. And actually anyone who has difficulty reading or marking a ballot can vote in this manner. So actually, when you make application, you will need to sign the application, and it is right below a phrase that says, "I am a qualified elector living with a disability that prevents me from reading or marking a ballot without assistance and wish to cast an electronic absentee ballot marked and cast by electronic means." I do not, I do solemnly affirm that I have needed or will, no, I have resided or will reside in the precinct where my residential voting address is located for at least 30 days preceding the electronic no, preceding the election, and will be a qualified elector of the precinct. So you have to live in your precinct for 30 days before, and you must have difficulty reading or marking a ballot, and you just say you verify that and you're good to go.
Right. Elector meaning you're a voter.
Right,
Right,
exactly. Exactly. So we were invited to attend a virtual demonstration of the application process. And during that demonstration, Michael Howe, the current Secretary of State, was present, as well as Erica White, his I she's
Director of elections, I guess is
right.
what
She is the director of elections for North Dakota. She's the one that actually did the presentation. And
right.
also in attendance were several um, protection and advocacy personnel, because they wanted to know how this whole thing works too, so that they could pass that along to their people also. And so we we're excited about this. It was a long time in the making. North Dakota is one of a very few states that actually um, will allow you to vote in this manner. It is very secure. Some people are worried about the security of such a process, but a similar process has been done for years for our military who are from North Dakota but reside temporarily in a different location. And so what you do if you would choose to vote this electronic absentee ballot, you can go to the Secretary of State's website, and that that website is a real easy one to remember. It's just www.sos.nd.gov. So www.sos for Secretary of State dot nd for North Dakota dot gov for government. And so that gets you into the main website. And while you're at on the home page, you can either search visually or tab over and find, if you're using JAWS, you would find and select Explore Elections. That's on the home page. And then once you've clicked on that, you select Vote by Absentee, and then you select the form of identification to be used. And there's a number of different ID that you can use. And actually, I'm going to get into that. So, Alan, if you want to describe a little bit about when we can start doing this and when the deadline is, maybe.
Sure, sure, sure. Well, you can apply for an absentee ballot right now, uh, and you can apply for an absentee ballot for both elections at this point in time. You have to get the application. You have to sign the application, and then you have to return that application to the Secretary of State's office, and they will send you a code, a unique code,
They actually call it a PIN,
PIN number. Yeah,
PIN or code. It's kind of the same thing. Yeah.
right, right. And for those for those that are mailing in an absentee ballot, that has to be postmarked no later than midnight the day before the election. So the primary election here in North Dakota is going to be on Tuesday, excuse me. The primary is going to be on June 11th. So it would have to be postmarked before midnight on June 10th. But I assume that if you are doing it electronically, you would have to submit that absentee ballot by midnight, June 10th.
Okay. Now I have gotten into the website, and I've gotten to the point where it says select the form of ID to be used. You can use a driver's license, which many of us don't have,
Right.
or a non-driver's ID, a tribal ID, passport, and it says only for voters outside the United States. So that wouldn't apply to us here in North Dakota either. A military ID. That's for active duty, stationed away from North Dakota. And then if you're a long-term care, um, you have a long-term care certificate, that also works. So if you know somebody who lives in a long-term care facility, they can use their certificate from that. And if you don't have an ID, if you're an applicant without an ID, you can vote. It has an option here. There's an attester, which it says only for voters unable to obtain an ID due to disability. And so when you check that, somebody attests to the fact that you live where you live and you are who you are, kind of thing. And so I'm going to just run through this. I've already submitted mine, but I'm going to go to everything but submit so I can read to you what's on the screen. I used my non-driver's ID, and so I just hit the next button. And then it brings me to another screen where all I have to do is put in my state issued ID number. And so I will put that in. Just take me a second here. If I can get my fingers to write to type the right thing. All right. All right. Okay. And then my date of birth, which is, I haven't forgotten that either. So that's a good thing. I've heard you're in bad shape if you forget your birthday. So
Yeah, right.
yeah, yeah. Okay. And then all I have to do is hit continue. So, and all right, it's saying there's something wrong with my number, which, like I said, oh, yeah. I see.
Yeah, this system actually is supposed to be very secure. It's the system that's used by the military, overseas military, so they can vote here in our home state.
Oh, I know why. It wasn't my number at all because I had that right. I typed in hit the wrong number when I was typing my birth date. And voila, it brings me up because I have already been a voter in North Dakota. And so it brings my name up, Zelda May Gebhard. It says, is this you? And all I have to do is hit on click, and it has my address, and it says, is this your current residential address? And it's got my address and my county of residence. And I can either click yes or no. And then I think I have the option of editing that. So I'm going to click yes because everything looks fine. So then I get to a screen where it says check all elections that applies. So if I wanted just to vote in the June primary election, I would check that box. I can vote in that and the general election in November. I can check that one. If there's a city or city special election, I can check that. A school or school special election, I can check that. And I also have the option of checking the state or county special election. So I am going to check, I'm going to check the general election because the application I sent in already was for the primary. I thought I'd give it a try at that. So, and then I hit continue. And then we select one of the following. I'm an active uniformed service or family member living away from the voter's residence, and yet within the United States. That's not me. Active uniformed service or family member living away from the voter's absent residence, yet outside of the United States. Citizen living outside of the United States, a qualified elector, none of the above. No, it says here the option I want to check is qualified elector living with a disability that prevents me from reading or marking a ballot without assistance. That's me. So I'm checking that one. And it might be many of you also. And so then I just put in my email address, and that's how I will get my PIN number that Alan was telling about, that will give me access to my actual ballot when that comes time to have that. So and then I can vote on anything that has internet access. So either my PC, my iPad, my phone, whatever digital device. So and I clicked on continue. Now I put in my contact phone number. So okay, and hit continue. All right, and then it says application for the following election. Um, uh, November general election, and that is the one that I selected. So I can edit that. Now, if I decided, oh well, maybe I want to vote in this other election too, I could go back in and check an additional one, but that's the one I selected. Then it's got my name, my ID number, my birth date, and it gives you an option to edit that also. I wonder if I could be 20 years younger, Alan.
Well, you can try.
Yeah, it wouldn't allow me to be yeah, no, when I put in the wrong birth date, it didn't work. So I better be honest. And then I can edit my address. There is where I can edit my address if I've moved to a different apartment, or whatever, a different house, different town, whatever. And then it asks if this is the ballot delivery address. And I want the electronic one, so I'm wondering why it is asking that. But
Right.
um, contact phone number, edit. All right, I'm going to hit continue. Just wanting to make sure, they want to make sure that they're giving me the right ballot, I think, for my precinct. I think
Right.
that's the deal there for the
Right.
address,
Sure.
even though I'm not going to be voting from my address. So delivery options. I can, now this is the bugaboo. We have to still print this application because by law in North Dakota, um, the request for an absentee ballot has to be in print so that we can sign it, and electronic signatures do not work. So this is where you may need some assistance to help. So it's not totally independent, but it's just for the application. Nobody's going to see how you're voting. Um, that will be totally independent, but to actually apply for the ability to electronically vote, that you need to print the application. You print and sign it, and then you submit the application to your county auditor, either by mail, fax, or hand delivery. Now, I can see a problem with all of three of those, but I chose to mail mine. Um, and on the back of the application, once I printed it, it had the name of my auditor, her address, her email address, and her phone number. Um, and and it will on yours also. So those are the options. It tells me that my county's Lemoore, my auditor's Jan Hamlin, her PO box, her address, her phone number, and her email address. And they said we could actually, this would probably be the easiest for most of us. We could take a picture of that with your phone, and you could email that photo to the email address of your auditor. And um, the Erica White said that they're not real picky on how you get that particular form to them. They're really willing to accept that in any fashion, but you still have to print it up, sign it, with a pen, and then you'd have to take a picture of it and send it to via email or hand deliver it or mail or fax to your auditor. So that's all there is to it. You hit done, and it gives you an option to print the application. Of course, we need to do that, and then sign it and go ahead and get it to our auditor whichever way we choose. So as Alan said again, then they will do what they need to do on their end and will email you back your PIN number, and that PIN number will allow you access um, to their election site, and which will have your precinct ballot on it, and you will access it, vote. And they explained to us the voting is very similar. If you have ever voted on the express vote, it's set up very similarly to that, where you can vote, and then once you're done voting, you can edit and make sure that you check the right things, according to what you wanted to do, and then submit it. And it does never leave their site, the election site. It stays right there. You don't have to print that. You don't have to take it anywhere. You don't have to do anything. It's all electronic from that point on. Just this application is the only kind of like I said, a bugaboo. And but according to North Dakota law, it has to be done that way. So Alan, what have I missed?
You haven't missed anything, no.
Okay.
But I do know that even the electronic ballots they receive, they are printed when they get them.
Right. They print them on their end, but we don't have to worry about what they're
Right,
doing on their end. Yeah.
that's right.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there is a paper record of the ballot.
Absolutely. And they will attach your application for that to that ballot also, wouldn't they? Didn't they say that, Alan?
Yeah,
Yeah. So that way it provides a little bit of security to the people who say, oh, this isn't the way it should be done. We've never done it like this before, kind of thing. It all has its checks and balances to make sure that everything is on the up and up.
right, 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 right. Well, this is, I'm hoping that a lot of people will take advantage of this. I just, we went through quite a bit of an effort to get it passed in the legislature, and I do hope that some people, and I trust that some people will take advantage of it.
Well, I'm going to split it. Like I said, I'm voting my primary that way,
Right,
but I plan to vote the general election at the election poll.
right,
Um, because I want us to be able to maintain the ability to do that also,
Right.
accessibly. And we really do appreciate our express vote. We are very lucky here in North Dakota. Some states do not have an accessible way to vote. And we want to exercise our right to vote and our right to vote accessibly, just in order to maintain that, because there are people who would really not like us to have the ability to do that. But we we uh, we feel like that our new Secretary of State and his staff are very much in support of this. And I don't know, Alan, did you see today on the ACB listserv, Lori Scharf posted something about elections in the ADA, and really truly they have never disputed the fact that according to the ADA, we need a way to vote accessibly.
Sure.
They just were at a loss to know how we could do that, and our law didn't allow for that until it got changed in 2021. So
Yeah. Well, it with our ability to vote at the polls changed with HAVA, Help America Vote Act.
mhm.
That was that was passed in 2002. It all came about because of the election in 2000, and the disputed election really um, that resulted from the hanging chads in Florida.
Oh yeah, who can forget the hanging chads? They're infamous, right?
The infamous hanging chads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what, when we run into something, we got to create a better way, and hopefully this is the better way. Who knows what'll happen in another 20 years? So it seems like about every 20 years, something major changes. And but that's about all we have for you tonight. And if you have any questions, you can contact either Alan or I, and we may be able to answer your question, and we maybe we can't, and we'll have to refer you to somebody who can.
Yeah, no, I'm really, I really love the ability to vote independently. That's the secret in independent ballot. The old automark machines were the ones that they started out with, and then now they have the express vote machine at the polling sites, which is
Hmm.
it's smoother, it's a better machine.
Hmm.
I really love using that one.
Yep, very, very easy to use. Uh,
Right.
all right.
And
Well,
I look forward to using this system as well. And I do want to become very accomplished in using this absentee way of voting, so I can, if people have questions, they have a source to come to.
right, right. Well, I just thought of the old joke that says vote and vote often.
Right, right, right.
Well, we get our chance to vote, but we only get to vote once, and they'll be able to tell if you forget and you voted absentee and you go to the poll. Yeah, they're not going to allow you to vote. They will look at your name and they'll know. Oh, you already submitted your ballot.
All right,
So
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
so there'll be checks and balances that way too.
Yeah, if you vote for absent, if you vote an absentee ballot and then go to the poll to vote, uh, they will know you have already voted, and they
Yeah,
will
yeah.
tell you you can't.
There you go. Very good. Well, and the only thing that I can add to this is if you don't want to have to go through the homepage of the Secretary of State's webpage and go through those steps that, there's a few extra steps. There is a direct link in the email that Trampus sent out to you, and that will also be in the the article that's in the promoter that direct link that will take you right to the application. So you won't have to fiddle around with those, you know, initial screens. But it is not real difficult to get there. They have improved their website immensely in the last few years. So um, we're in good shape with the Secretary of State's office. Feeling good about all of that. All right, well, let's wrap her up. Yes.
Okay.
This is Michelle.
Hi,
I missed
Michelle.
out on the first part of the session. Can I listen to the tape or talk with one of you guys about the first part?
Sure. We'll end the recording, Michelle, and then we'll go ahead and answer questions here.
Okay.
Yeah. And we can review what you missed out on. The recording will be made available in the Play It Again.